Okay, very nice. Okay, so I will start talk about trochanteric fracture. These are so many kind of devices to fix the trochanteric fracture. Okay,
Yeah.
and I also devised a new IM nail for fix the trochanteric fracture. So before to talking about my device, I want to talk about comprehensive findings or knowledge about the trochanteric fracture. As I say yesterday, the trochanteric fracture is very frequent in Japan due to the aged population, aged society. So this is a still difficult problem. How to fix, how to success for this kind of osteoporotic fracture. So first of all, no. So what is the purpose of the treatment, surgical treatment for the trochanteric fracture? Is to achieve bone union without cutout. So because femoral head and femoral neck is very osteoporotic in the patient with trochanteric fracture, because the mean age population of the trochanteric fracture is older than the femoral neck fracture. This type of fracture is mainly caused by the osteoporosis. So most patients have a very, very soft, fragile, osteoporotic femoral head. So how to fix the femoral head using the screw or braid is the main purpose. It's a very important things to achieve the successful treatment. So, the first of all, to insert the lug screw to properly is very important. So currently, the lug screw should be considered to be inserted at the center of the femoral head. So called center and center. It means also coronal view and lateral view. In the both views, the lug screw should be located at the center of the femoral head. Classically, it is considered to be better to insert it the lower of the femoral neck because of the lower part of the femoral head and the femoral neck has so relatively dense, strong bone compared to the center or upper part of the femoral neck. But currently, the insert lug screw at the center of the femoral head, no torque is affected on the femoral head. If we insert the lower, due to the it is not the center of the femoral head, so the femoral head can rotate due to the some different steering force and the center of the screw. The femoral head can rotate. So otherwise, if you insert the lug screw at the center of the femoral head never rotate due to the stress. So the main aim of our insertion is to insert the lug screw at the center of the femoral head securely. So it is quite very famous report that the TAD, tip apex distance, is the distance from the tip of lug screw to the center of the femoral head. So we calculate the distance on the coronal view and lateral view, and XAP plus Y lateral equal TAD. TAD should be the 2 centimeter or less, like this. If the TAD get 2 centimeter or more, so this is a black one. The cutout of the lag screw can occur. So we should insert as near as possible at the center of the femoral head. The first of all, to insert the lag screw to the center of the femoral head, the reduction is very important because reduction should be done according to the implant we will use. Usually, implant has a neck shaft angle around 125 degrees. The femoral neck should be reduced in the 125 degrees in the neck shaft angle. If you want to use 130 degrees neck IM now, the fracture should be reduced in 130 degrees in neck shaft angle. So confirm this. I devise this like this template. This is template installs the outline of the neck, the implant, and all purpose to put on the hip and using a fluoroscope. This nail shadow is overlapped on the fracture, and then I can easily know how to insert it, how to be inserted, this nail. So if this indicates the neck shaft angle of the nail we will use. So if fracture is more varus on this view, so we need some traction of leg. So using this one, it's very easy. But this is a custom made. Instead of this one, we can use goniometer. So set the goniometer at 125 degrees or 130 degrees. We can easily evaluate the reduction is proper or not. So lateral view is very important and very difficult to adjust. So I devised the new lateral view, so-called true lateral view. This is defined as the view where the femoral head center is on the femoral shaft axis. So in other words, so draw the line of the femoral shaft axis, and then line comes at the center of the femoral head. So on this view, the anteversion of the femoral head is adjusted, and this view can be achieved by rotation of the serum. Adjust the rotation of the serum, we can get easily this type of lateral view, true lateral view. So conventionally, this is a normal lateral view, but it is not true lateral view, so-called horizontal lateral view. So it means this X-beam direction is parallel to the floor, but oblique to the femoral neck, like this. This is just like the horizontal lateral view. So on this view, we can see some degrees of anteversion, like this. But On this view, we can see the anterior cortex. So displacement of the anterior cortex is quite important to estimate the post-operative stability. If this is completely overlapped, it should be stable. Or sometimes femoral neck, the cortex comes to inferior to the shaft, anterior cortex of the shaft. So in this type of fracture, the femoral neck can migrate into the femoral shaft. Then subsequent non-union can occur. So this overlap is very important. On this conventional lateral view, we can easily observe the status of the reduction of the anterior inferior cortex of the femur. So this is, of course, a horizontal lateral view, but this is an oblique view in terms of femoral neck. But anterior cortex can be evaluated clearly using this view. So this view is still important. This is a true lateral view. In this view, femoral head center is on the extension of the femoral axis. So again, this view can achieve by adjusting the CM inclination. So look, this is a true lateral view. The red line is Jomiso. Okay. This red line is extension of the femoral shaft axis. And we can see this line is count as the center of the femoral head. Maybe it's a perfect true lateral view. It is quite important to evaluate the rotation or extension of the flexion of the fracture. It is very easy. But look, there is the lack of information about anterior cortex reduction status. So on this view, we can see only the alignment. But to the reduction status of overlapping of the anterior cortex, we can observe the horizontal view. So we should use both views, both lateral views. And yes, and again, please look. This is a true extension of the femoral shaft, and this is the femoral head center. It is a beautifully come the center of the femoral shaft and center of the femoral head. But at the femoral neck, it passes a little bit posterior in the femoral neck. This position should be the 1/3 posterior in the femoral neck. It is quite very interesting. Okay. So this is a horizontal view and true lateral view. This is a true lateral view. It's adjusted the femoral anteversion. And this is a horizontal view. Horizontal view is the dotted line. This view is parallel to the floor, but oblique to the femoral neck. On the other hand, the true lateral view is oblique to the floor, but parallel to the neck. Again, in the true lateral view, we can accurately estimate the angulation of the lateral view. And in the horizontal view, we can observe the status of reduction on the relationship between the proximal and distal fragment. So this is a video to how to adjust the true lateral view. This is a horizontal view. then incline, rotate the C-arm, and rotate it until the extension of the femoral shaft comes at the center of the femoral head. Then insert the nail, and the lug screw portion on the AP view is decided by the depth of the IM nail. So after the insertion of the IM nail, put on another guide wire at this one, at the hole for the lug screw, and then we can estimate the position of the lug screw using this guide wire. So if it is not proper, insert deeply or a little bit pull out and adjust the position of the lug screw position. For this purpose, so in Japan, this kind of guide is available to put on this guide on the sleeve of the lug screw, and then rotate this guide. And if it comes to the center of the femoral head, then insert the guide wire through the sleeve. The guide wire will come at the center of this guide. So using this guide, we can easily estimate the lug screw position after insertion of the nail. But instead of this kind of special goods, we can easily adjust the depth of the IM nail using another guide wire like this. This is the insertion of the sleeve of the lug screw, and this one is at the center of the hole in the nail for the lug screw. Then intraoperatively, to the nail alignment on the lateral view is accurately adjusted using a true lateral view. I call it intraoperative true lateral view. It has the 3 steps. The first is adjust the C-arm inclination. So adjust the C-arm until there is a nail axis. Nail axis comes to the center of the femoral head. This is a horizontal view. The axis of the IM nail comes anterior to the femoral head, but some degrees of inclination of the C-arm, we can get this view. In this view, this axis, femoral IM nail axis, comes at the center of the femoral head. This is a true lateral view. Then the first adjust the C-arm, then adjust the nail rotation. In this situation, that is adjust the rotation of the C-arm and adjust the neck axis and the femoral head center. But we can see the shadow of the target device here. So if we insert the lug screw in this position, the lug screw comes to a little bit anterior from the center of the femoral head. So to adjust the nail direction and lug screw direction, adjust the rotation of the femoral IM nail so as to the shadow of the targeted device overlaps completely on the shadow of the nail. This is the second one. The second view is the rotation of the IM nail is already adjusted. This situation, Then we insert a guide wire. So guide wire will insert it just extension of the center of the nail. It is already adjusted at the center of the femoral head. So using this technique, we can insert it very, very accurately at the center of the femoral head. It's really amazing. So this is the video. First, rotate and get the true lateral view. In this view, this next nail shadow is come to the center, then adjust the rotation, controlling this target device so that the target device and nail shadow overlaps completely. Then insert the guide wire. Guide wire must come at the center of the femoral head. So, but we can insert the guide wire on the lag through at the center of the femoral head. It is not difficult using these techniques, but even after the proper insertion of the lag screw, sometimes cutwork will occur like this. The screw position is not bad, but a little bit lower. But we can see the distance from the lag screw and the lower cortex of the femoral neck. It's slightly enlarged, and then finally this lag screw will cut the femoral head. Then this patient needs arthroplasty. So it is very important. Cut out can occur even after the ideal proper insertion of the lag screw. Why? Maybe it was the unstable fracture. This fracture looks stable, very simple fracture. But in fact, this fracture might be an unstable fracture. So this is a definition of the unstable fracture. The one is irreducible fracture. So for example, very, very comminuted fracture or some type of fracture, some fracture is impinged to the iliofemoral tendon, and then psoas tendon, and then this fragment is never reduced without detach the psoas tendon. So anyway, this kind of irreducible fracture is unstable fracture. In this fracture, is not the sufficient bony contact between the proximal and distal fragment never occurs. So this is the one type is irreducible fracture, and the second is the reduction and the fixation is perfect, but the fracture can reduct and even displace. So this is kind of fracture is so-called unstable fracture. In addition, excessive sliding. The sliding mechanism is necessary to achieve the impaction between the fragments. But if the sliding is too much, excessive, it implies the fracture is very, very unstable, and then it can cause eventually cut out. due to the lack of the bony contact. So achieve the good bone contact is very important to treat trochanteric fracture. So classification is very important. Sorry, this is Japanese. This is a very, very famous Evans-Jensen classification. And this is classified into 5. One is a stable and 2 fragment fracture. And second is a 3 fragment fracture with a fragment of the greater trochanteric fracture. And this one is a 3-part fracture with the minor trochanteric fragment. And this is a very unstable 4-fragment fracture, including the greater trochanteric fracture and the minor trochanteric fracture. So in this classification, we count the number of the fragments and the location of their fragments. This is the AO classification. This is similar, a little bit complex. This is also classified based on the number and the location of the bone fragment. But we compare that this is a sliding distance after the operation. But between the Jensen classification and the AO classification, there was no difference between the classification. So again, this sliding length imply the possible risk of the cutout. Too much cutout, especially 7 millimeter or 8 millimeter after the 1 week post-operatively, we call it excessive fracture, excessive sliding that implies increasing risk of cutout in the future. So currently in Japan, we can easily use 3D CT. So this is a modification of the Jensen classification. This is devised by Dr. Nakano, and they classified that it's into the type 1 and the type 2. Type 2 is a kind of subtrochanteric fracture, and the true trochanteric fracture is classified into 3. The one in the 2 parts, and another in the 2 parts, and the 4 parts. So, about 2 parts is several combinations. This is the head fragment and shaft fragment. The B is this only the greater trochanteric is separated. On the type C, it includes the proximal fragment, includes femoral head and minor trochanteric, trochanter. And this is only the minor trochanteric fracture. The 3 type is the variation of the combination. The key point is greater trochanter, minor trochanter, head and shaft. So this is classified as the fifth fragment include these parts, head, major or minor trochanter, and shaft. So it is quite similar to the Jensen's classification. But now in Japan, this classification is popularly used because it is quite easy to understand. But even using the 3D CT classification, sliding was not different among the classification. So I conclude that only the number and the location of the fragment is insufficient to estimate the future cutout risk. So complex fracture, such as four-part fracture, it's not always implies the unstable of the fracture. So excessive sliding and even a cutout can occur. The very simple two types of fracture. We sometimes experience the unfortunate cutout after the simple two-part fracture, and insert laxity is inserted the preparation. So we need another factor should be taken into account. Okay, so I will talk about it tomorrow. Then I finally I come up with a new device. Then this is basic. So in summary, so insert the lag screw at the center of the femoral head on both AP and lateral view. The first, this is the first step. But sometimes cutout can occur even after the perfect insertion of the lag screw. Why? There is a reason. So it is due to the unstable fracture, but the fracture is unstable or not. This fracture is has a greater risk or minor risk. We can not estimate using the former classification system. We should take into account another factor to predict the cutout in the future. Okay, that is tomorrow's talk. Okay, do you understand? Do you have any question?
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor. I have questions
Yes.
about yes. Thank you for your lectures. We know about the center insection is very important, and another thing is to insert the digital screw. Which type of screws should be inserted? Dynamic screws or a static screw? How to choose it?
Sorry, say again.
Not for the less screws, for the distal screw.
Yeah.
For the distal screw. Distal screw. There are two types of screw. One is static mode, and the second is dynamic mode, right?
Oh, distal screw. Okay.
So
I don't
how to?
I don't have the
how
answer.
to choose? Okay.
What do you think about it? It is very, very interesting.
Yeah, very. So I want to know what is your opinion to insert a static or dynamic mode?
Yes, actually, I compared in the previously the dynamic and the static, but there was no difference. But I evaluated some case of the dynamic screw insertion. After the insert the dynamic screw, so, sometimes screw migrated 1 or 2 millimeter. So I think dynamic is better than the static because not only the lag screw but also the nail itself can migrate. Maybe this is depend on the type of fracture and the type of the reduction on bone contact status. But it is quite difficult to evaluate intraoperative using the fluoroscope because the shape of fracture is very complex. It is very three-dimensional. So
No.
if you insert the static position, this can block the migration of the neck. So in this situation, the stability of the neck is depend on the cortical bone, cortical screw. So it can break the screw.
Okay.
Okay, but I have seen the breakage of the cortical screw after short femoral neck, short femoral neck. So, but maybe it is no problem if you routinely use the static neck. But in theory, it is better to use the dynamic screw because to the dynamic portion of the distal screw because the distal screw is unlike the long iron nail, the distal locking screw is can act only the anti-rotation. It will never stop the migration of the iron nail. Because normally in the long bone iron nail, the interlocking neck can act as the locking neck can prevent the shortening of the fracture. But in the short femoral neck, the cortical screw is only to prevent the rotation of the femoral head. It's not the purpose of this screw to prevent the migration of this screw. So in this theory, I believe so the cortical screw is only for the prevent the rotation. So it doesn't necessary to touch the screw on the iron nail hole. Okay. So, but I don't know the answer. If you're interested in this problem, you can all conduct the compare study in the static one and the dynamic one. Then after that, compare the stability of. It is a very good study. Anyone know about this? Everyone want to know about this. Okay. 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 This is the end of my talk today. So
Yes.
please see tomorrow. Please come and join tomorrow. Thank you. Goodbye. Good night.
Yeah. I will send the question.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. I will email later. Thank you.
Yeah.